Have you ever noticed something strange about success? The moment you start doing a little better than before, someone around you becomes uncomfortable. Not always openly, not always aggressively. Sometimes it's subtle, a strange silence, a sarcastic comment, a forced smile. And you start wondering, why does my progress bother people? Why do people feel jealous? Jealousy is one of the oldest human emotions. It's older than money, older than social media, older than modern society itself. Because jealousy comes from something much deeper: comparison. Humans are wired to compare themselves with others. We compare income, we compare success, we compare attractiveness, we compare intelligence. And most of the time, we do it without even realizing it. You see, the human brain is constantly asking one silent question: where do I stand? Am I ahead? Am I behind? Am I respected? Am I valuable? For thousands of years, this question helped humans survive. In early human tribes, status meant survival. If you were respected in the tribe, you had protection, resources, and influence. If you were at the bottom of the hierarchy, life became harder. Your voice mattered less. Your needs were ignored. So the human brain developed a deep sensitivity to status, and this sensitivity still exists today. But the world has changed. Today, status isn't just about survival. It's about success, lifestyle, attention, and recognition. And this is where jealousy begins. Imagine two people starting at the same place in life. Same neighborhood, same school, same opportunities. For years, their lives move at the same pace. There's comfort in that equality. No one feels threatened. But then something changes. One person starts improving. Maybe they start a business. Maybe they get promoted. Maybe they develop new skills. Maybe they simply become more confident. Suddenly, the balance is broken. And when that balance breaks, something uncomfortable happens in the mind of the other person. They begin comparing. They start asking questions. Why them and not me? What do they have that I don't? Why are they moving ahead? And instead of inspiring action, this comparison often creates jealousy. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Jealousy isn't really about the other person. It's about what their success reminds us of. When someone close to us succeeds, they become a mirror that reflects our own potential and our own inaction. Their progress quietly asks a difficult question. If they can do it, why haven't I? And for many people, that question feels painful because it forces them to confront uncomfortable truths. Maybe they procrastinated. Maybe they avoided risks. Maybe they chose comfort instead of growth. So instead of accepting responsibility, the mind looks for another solution. It tries to protect the ego. And one of the easiest ways to protect the ego is to devalue the other person. Suddenly, their success isn't impressive anymore. It was luck. They had connections. They cheated. They got help. They're not that talented. These statements are not really about truth. They are emotional defense mechanisms. They allow the mind to avoid the painful realization that someone else simply worked harder, took more risks, or believed in themselves more. Jealousy is rarely logical. It's emotional, and emotions often distort reality. But jealousy doesn't only appear between strangers. In fact, the most intense jealousy often appears between people who are close: friends, coworkers, family members. Why? Because we compare ourselves most strongly with people who are similar to us. If a billionaire succeeds, most people don't feel jealous. It feels too distant, too unrealistic. But when someone from your own environment succeeds, someone who started where you started, that's when comparison becomes powerful. Because now the brain can't ignore the possibility. If they did it, maybe I could have too. And that thought can be either motivating or deeply uncomfortable. For some people, it creates inspiration. They see someone succeed and think, if they can grow, I can grow too. These people turn comparison into motivation. But others react differently. Instead of feeling inspired, they feel threatened, because another person's growth exposes their own stagnation. And that's where jealousy quietly grows. Jealousy doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. It shows up as criticism, sarcasm, subtle negativity, backhanded compliments. You got lucky. Must be nice. Let's see how long that lasts. These words often hide something deeper: insecurity. Because jealousy is almost always connected to insecurity. When someone feels confident in their own path, another person's success doesn't feel threatening. In fact, it can feel encouraging. But when someone feels uncertain about their own future, another person's success can feel like a spotlight shining on their own doubts. And that spotlight can be uncomfortable. Now here's something interesting. Jealousy isn't always negative.
In small doses, jealousy can actually reveal something important. It can show us what we secretly want. Think about it. You rarely feel jealous of something you truly don't care about. If someone wins a competition in a field you have zero interest in, you feel nothing. But when jealousy appears, it often points towards a hidden desire. Maybe you envy someone's freedom. Maybe you envy someone's confidence. Maybe you envy someone's discipline. Maybe you envy someone's financial success. And that envy can act like a signal pointing towards something meaningful. Instead of asking, why do I hate their success? A more powerful question is, what does their success reveal about what I want? Because behind jealousy often hides an unspoken dream, a dream that hasn't been pursued yet. And when that dream stays ignored for too long, jealousy grows stronger. But here's the truth most people never talk about. The more you grow, the more jealousy you will encounter. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because growth changes social dynamics. When you evolve, you disrupt expectations. People who knew the old version of you may struggle to accept the new version. They feel comfortable with the version they understand. But growth introduces uncertainty, and uncertainty makes some people uncomfortable. So they try to pull you back, not always intentionally. Sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it. But they make jokes, they question your decisions, they doubt your goals, and slowly they try to return the balance that existed before your growth began. This is why many people stay small, because growth is lonely. When you improve your habits, your mindset, your discipline, you begin walking a path that fewer people are willing to take. But here's the powerful realization. Jealousy is not proof that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it's proof that you're moving forward. People rarely envy those who remain stagnant. They envy those who move, those who build, those who evolve. And once you understand this, jealousy stops feeling personal. It becomes understandable, because the person feeling jealous isn't really fighting you. They're fighting their own doubts, their own fears, their own unrealized potential. And that battle is happening inside their mind, not yours. So the question becomes, how should you respond to jealousy? With anger? With confrontation? With resentment? Probably not, because reacting emotionally only creates more conflict. A better response is understanding. Not agreement, not tolerance of negativity, but understanding. Understanding that jealousy often reflects inner struggle. And once you see that clearly, you stop taking it personally. You keep building, you keep learning, you keep growing. Because at the end of the day, everyone has their own journey. Some people choose growth, others choose comfort. Some people face their insecurities, others hide from them. But your responsibility is not to manage someone else's emotions. Your responsibility is to continue becoming the best version of yourself. And sometimes, that journey will make others uncomfortable. But that's okay, because growth wasn't meant to be comfortable, for you or for the people watching you evolve.